Okay, this is Salem, Massachusetts. We're looking at the town hall. And there's something kind of cool over here we're going to check out. So this was the London Coffee House, as you see. And it was where American patriots met prior to the Revolution. This is the original fireplace. They sat around this fireplace and planned the Revolution. We'll take a quick look at the witch trial memorial. This is Giles Corey, or Giles Corey. He was pressed to death because he wouldn't enter a plea. He actually testified against his wife in her trial. We're going to be looking at this cemetery in just a minute. The Charter Street Cemetery, lots of notable graves. Remember this name, Rebecca Nurse. We're going to be seeing her house. There's the oldest building, or one of the oldest buildings in Salem. Now this is the house where Nathaniel Hawthorne met his fiancée. And this actually is where he based one of his books off of this, Grimshaw, Dr. Grimshaw. And this is the burial place for John Hawthorne. He was the judge in the Salem witch trials. And this is where Elias Haskins Derby is buried. He was the first millionaire in America. And this is someone who was on the Mayflower. Richard Moore. This is the only passenger of the Mayflower whose grave marker is in the original spot. And this is Cotton Mather's brother. And here is the, I guess the governor of the Massachusetts Bay Colony, the last governor of the Massachusetts Bay Colony. Simon Bradstreet was his name. Now, Parker Brothers is located here in Salem, and this is the house that they based the game of Clue off of. And it's called the Gardner Pingree House. This is where Captain Joseph Smith was bludgeoned to death and then stabbed 13 times. Daniel Webster was the prosecuting attorney in that case. Harry Houdini performed in this building right here.
do a complete turn. All these mansions you're looking at were built by very, very rich and influential people. Samuel McIntyre designed a lot of these buildings. They are federal style. We can open the door. Feel that? All the mansions you're looking at are privately owned. Average price home on this street, $2.4 million. And every single building you're looking at is a single family home. And they gotta stay single family homes forever. Even this brick one coming up on your right. We call this a townhouse. Yep. I always wait for the gas. That's the smallest house on the street. That's the Pickering farmhouse. Nathaniel Hawthorne lived there. It's next to one of the largest mansions. I've been told that that beige mansion has 30 rooms, 7.5 bathrooms. People always wonder, why so many rooms for a single family? When these were built in the 1800s, these were multi-generational homes. They had servants, they entertained, all these rooms were being used. The brick building on your right, that is historic Hamilton Hall, named after Alexander Hamilton, designed by Samuel McIntyre. The lower floor was a pub, the upper floor was a dance hall. He designed the floor to be a floating floor. Less connection points on wagon springs, the whole thing bounced. So women can dance longer and not have their feet get tired. That was a big deal. Do you know he tried to sell the telephone? He went away using telegraph lines. That was a big deal. Do you know he tried to sell the telephone? You will see a brick mansion across the street on your right. That was Judge Story's home. He was the youngest Supreme Court justice in history. Early 30s when he started. He founded the Harvard Law Library. He was one of the judges on the Amistad trial. And his father was one of the people that threw the tea off the boats in Boston Harbor.
Okay, now we're at the Rebecca Nurse Homestead. She was one of the people hanged for supposed witchcraft. Now this is her house. This is where they came to arrest her and where she lived. She was actually a matriarch of the church. It was a big shock when she was accused. This is the original room. They've built onto it, but this is the room where she lived and most likely where she was arrested. Here are a few things that belong to her, personal possessions. Okay, now we're going to see where Rebecca Nurse was laid to rest. Here's a tribute to the people that spoke on her behalf at her trial. One of her descendants fought in the Revolutionary War. Matthew Putnam, Massachusetts militia, Revolutionary War. Now this is the burial spot now for George Jacobs Sr., also hanged for supposed witchcraft. Now, as you can see, they actually moved his remains here in 1992. Now, George Jr. was also accused, but he was able to evade capture. I don't think those chairs are original. Now, of course, they're not. They have wooden pews, and they've moved those because there's a group that rents this building to have meetings. Well, I hope you enjoyed this little glimpse at Salem, Massachusetts, some of the history, and the Rebecca Nurse Homestead. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.